Welcome to another Numismatic Notes with Benjamin. It is kind of happy that I'm not infected with coronavirus, but it is kind of sad since I was getting ready to get on a cruise ship and go spend a glorious week in the Bahamas. But that was not to be. My cruise line has canceled cruises for at least the next month. And so, on the plus side, I get to be here at home making some more videos on interesting banknotes. I'm very excited to be here with you tonight, and I hope you will subscribe to my YouTube channel. Today, I am bringing to you a Brazil 10,000 Cruzados that is no longer legal tender. This note was withdrawn December 31st, 1990. It measures 154 by 74 millimeters, and you can see it comes in shades of orange, violet, red, and brown. The standard catalog of world paper money calls this a PIC 215, while the banknote book calls this a B837. Wikipedia was a great source of the information I'm about to share with you. You can see that it is a paper note, and it has, for security, a watermark at this end of the note, and here, just off center, is a solid security thread. And then over here on the right end of the note, you see a nice square that, when you turn it over, has parts of the design that, when held up to the light, form a complete picture. It is a beautiful offset. What do they call that? It's a beautiful offset register. This note is a Brazilian note, so the text is in Portuguese, as Brazil used to be a Portuguese possession, and as a city in Brazil, I believe Rio de Janeiro used to be the capital of Portugal for a time period. But even though I've had this note for more than a decade, I never really realized what the drawing to the left of Dr. Chagas' head was until I started doing some research on this note. The line drawing is of a tritoma insect, which I'll give you a little bit more information on in a minute. And in the drawing of its digestive system is a parasite that causes the Chagas disease. The parasite is called Trypanosoma cruzi. And to the right is Dr. Carlos Justiniano Ribeiro Chagas. And interestingly enough, you don't see this on a lot of notes, but you actually have the person depicted signature right there on the note. It would have been wonderful if Dr. Chagas was alive and I could have had him sign his note. The banknote signatures above his note belong to the governor and the central bank officials of Brazil. The doctor is also the subject of the watermark. If we were able to hold this up to the light, or if I had a light table, which I may be getting one, I would be able to show you very clearly his watermark. He was a bacteriologist and a sanitary physician, which I hope all physicians would be, and nowadays we expect them to be, but in his time it was rather pioneering, so his work with hygiene and his insistence on it probably has saved untold lives. But the insect shown on the face is a member of the group of insects called kissing bugs or assassin bugs, maybe even a vampire bug. And the design shows the process of infecting somebody with Chagas disease. You see the insect piercing the skin layer right over here. You see him digesting the blood, and you see the blood and the parasite mixing up in his digestive tract, and then boom, you see a pooped out cluster of infected fecal matter containing the parasite, which then gets smeared into the wound opening and infecting the host through their bloodstream. So that is how it's transmitted. Very graphic, very earthy, and completely unnoticed by me for all the years I've had this banknote. Local names in South America for this insect include barbeiros, which is Portuguese for barber, and I guess comes from the fact that these kissing bugs like to attack the face while you're at night. So I guess they attack the face like the little barbers do. Other places in South America call it venchucas, pitos, chipos, and chinches. And those sound pretty close to bad words in the Spanish that's used around where I live. But Chagas disease isn't anything to laugh at. It is a very serious disease. It is passed just as illustrated. The bug feeds and then poops near the wound. The poopy parasite then enters the bug-made wound, and this parasite is devious. You might have very little pain and next to no trouble, maybe some puffiness near the side or an eyelid gets puffy, and then no problem for decades. And then, boom, all of a sudden you have heart problems and you have digestive problems and organ failure, even at times. Doesn't show up for decades. And boom, there you go. There is no vaccine at this time, it's hard to believe that it's been around for more than 100 years and there's no vaccine, but they have discovered that if you treat it near the time of infection, you can usually clear your system of this disease. However, a lot of people who get pacemakers and things like that may not really have heart disease in their family. They may actually have Chagas disease. Let's take a second look at the back of the note. The back of the note is also showing the disease, or the disease is showing the denomination of the banknote in Portuguese. Dr. Chagas is using a microscope to the middle right of this note. He is surrounded by other pieces of scientific equipment. He has himself as the watermark to the right now, and then to the left you can see the other part of the offset register that, when held up to the light, forms a complete picture with the square on the front. The humongous giant colored section in the background that on the left end kind of looks like feathers, I suspect is actually a microscope view of the animal, of the kissing bug itself, and that might be the rear end of it. It wouldn't be the first time that Brazil has chosen to use the subject of the note in a novel way as far as background design. But let's look a little bit more at Dr. Chagas and his history. He first described this disease that bears his name in 1909, and he did most of his research while he was at the Institute of Oswaldo Cruz. He named this parasite after Oswaldo Cruz, who was a famous physician and epidemiologist in his own right, who fought successful epidemics of yellow fever, smallpox, and bubonic plague in small towns and in Rio de Janeiro. What makes Dr. Chagas so impressive to me is that he worked in primitive conditions and was able to research and describe a completely unknown infectious disease, its pathogen, its vector, host, and transmission. After Cruz's death in 1917, Chagas became the Institute's director, and he remained so in the station until his death in 1934. It's a sad thing that he was a Nobel Prize nominee. A man of his scientific achievements should be a laureate. He was nominated twice. He was able to take an existing disease that was unknown and was able to do everything he could to inform the world about it using the most primitive of tools and the most primitive of locations. Very impressive man. I didn't know that he was going to be my hero whenever I ended up looking at this note recently. But collectors of doctors, bugs, parasites, life cycles, Nobel nominees, or microscopes will want this note for their collection. Please subscribe by clicking on the purple circle to my YouTube channel, Numismatic Notes with Benjamin. Please like and please comment. I can only grow as a channel if I know what motivates you guys to watch my channel, and your likes and your comments and questions help in all those areas. I am Benjamin. Have a jewel of a day.